By late summer, most small farm businesses are drowning in 14-hour days and still falling behind. Today, I'm going to share the story of one small business that grew 35% while the owner took daily naps and personal breaks by completely reversing how they handle their peak season. It's an interesting one. Let's get into it.
I remember 3 or 4 years ago, even on a Friday, we would be prepping for market until like 9 o'clock. And that's really the kind of thing that caused burnout.
The big difference here was building systems that work with natural rhythms instead of against them. In this video, you'll discover the exact framework that farmer Curtis Stone used to achieve his best season ever, growing 35% from a previous season while taking daily naps during the peak season. It sounds impossible, but he did it. More importantly, you'll learn how these principles apply to any small business dealing with busy seasons, tight deadlines, or overwhelming workloads. We're going to dig into a lot in this video. I hope you get a lot out of it. Once upon a time, Curtis did what a lot of other farmers tend to do: cram everything into deadline day. In this case, it was Friday, prepping for the market, and that meant working until 9 p.m. at night from the headlights of a car. Now, when we recorded this, he had completely reversed that.
In the summertime, like basically from mid-June until mid-September, we harvest something every single day of the week, like Monday through Friday. On Friday, we're mostly packing. So Monday through Thursday, we're harvesting all the time. So there's never really a big harvest day, and that really spreads it out.
His new routine, Monday to Thursday, were harvest days. Friday was packing. No scrambling, no hustling. Here's what most people miss. Staging work doesn't just reduce stress, it drastically reduces the total time involved.
When it's raining and you work in the rain, you're moving slower because your boots are getting stuck in the mud, you're changing clothes. It's kind of miserable, so you just don't feel that inspired to work. But then processing all the vegetables, especially greens, once they've been rained on, adds a lot of considerable time.
Curtis estimated that doing tasks in poor conditions would add 20 to 50% in total time invested in that task. So by staging that work across multiple days, he could choose the optimal conditions and avoid that penalty of unoptimal entirely. This can really apply to many businesses in many different ways. For example, if you run a service business, you don't wait until the day before a client delivery. Stage research one day, draft it on Tuesday, revision on Wednesday, and polish it on Thursday, delivering on Friday. For product businesses, that might be pick Monday and Tuesday, quality check on Wednesday, pack Thursday, and ship Friday. It applies to a lot of businesses. The base principles are the same. Distribute work across multiple days to access optimal conditions and maintain quality, thereby reducing the scrambling. When Curtis faced work he didn't enjoy, especially in the extreme hot summers, he had a strategy.
My whole thing is when I have to do things that I don't like doing, I just do them fast. Just get it done. Just crank it out. Especially like working in the crazy heat we had this summer. That was the thing, was just get out there fast.
When it's hot, makes working outside hard. Here's one strategy for dealing with peak summer heat.
Start at 6 and set a pace and just crank. Just go fast and just get things done because you're fighting the sun coming higher in the sky. It's getting hotter. The temperature's climbing like a degree every 10 minutes. Like it just gets so hot so quickly. So you don't have time to screw around. Time is of the essence. So yeah, for me, it's go, 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 get it done.
6 hours of intense work, no dragging it out, no breaks, then done. That's it. Day over. Curtis discovered that different tasks have different optimal windows to do those tasks.
In the summer, I'm not going to harvest greens past 11 o'clock. I try to do it early morning or in the evening.
But context matters. In the spring, he would harvest greens midday when they're drier to avoid pest issues. But in the summer, it was critical to harvest those greens early in the morning when it was cool outside to maintain optimal freshness. Here's the universal principle behind all of this. Map your high focus tasks to your high energy windows. Don't spread difficult work throughout the day. Concentrate on it when you're the sharpest. Then shift gears to lighter tasks later on when your energy wanes.
Oh man, naps are so crucial. I'm such a napper. When I'm working in the heat, I'm not as hungry. I'll eat a decent amount in the morning. For lunch, I'll just come in, I'll eat something pretty quickly, and then I'll just take a nap for 20 minutes or half an hour is really all I need.
Curtis's routine was this: lunch, then a quick 20 to 30 minute power nap. Any longer and productivity would suffer.
Some of the most successful people do that. Taking a nap is pretty good to just kind of recharge your batteries.
One of the challenges Curtis faced when we were recording The Urban Farmer was writing his book alongside running a farm. And during that 18-month process, here's how he handled it.
I know just from going through the process of writing a book over the last 18 months, naps have been critical for me. I'll start editing or writing or whatever it was at 6 a.m. And by noon or 1 o'clock, my mind is fried. So taking a nap is pretty good to just kind of recharge your batteries.
This isn't about being lazy, it's about maintaining peak performance across the long season. Whether you call it a nap, a reset block, or just strategic downtime, building in restoration time for you, physically and mentally, prevents late season crashes. The game changer was this: having multiple days to complete tasks meant he could optimize those tasks to perform them at the best possible times.
The main thing is by having a lot of time to harvest allows me to look at the weather and be like, oh, you know what? It's going to rain Thursday. Let's harvest the greens on Wednesday. We've done that the whole season this year, and that's really been a big part of avoiding late season burnout.
Remember that rain penalty from earlier in this video? This is how you avoid it entirely. Curtis's strategy for harvesting in the spring was as follows.
In the spring, it's not nice having your greens wet, mainly because the slugs will move up from the soil. They'll move into the greens when they're wet, and then they'll move out at the end of the day. So in the springtime, I actually want to harvest my greens in the middle of the day or when it's warmest, because that way they're less wet and there's less pests in them.
Switching to summer, when it got hot, he had a different strategy for managing the heat. There was no harvesting any greens after 11 a.m. Root vegetables could handle the afternoon heat, so you could harvest them then. And all heavy labor was completed early in the morning before it got too hot outside. The big lesson here was build in enough buffer to choose the optimal conditions for each specific task so you could do them when the weather and your energy cooperated.
I'm very concerned about their well-being. It's kind of a thing where it's like, I'd rather risk my health than have them risk their health. So starting early and shutting it down when it starts to get hot.
Curtis's system for extreme heat was as follows.
Starting at 6, taking a break at 11 or 10:30, and then working for a few hours after that. Sometimes on extremely hot days, we'll just work straight for 6 hours. Small breaks here and there, drinking water and eating a few bites of food, obviously. But just work straight for 6 hours and then try to finish most of the day then.
On the worst days, they would work for 6 straight hours with small food and water breaks, and then they would be done. If something critical needed finishing, Curtis would handle that work himself. He wouldn't ask his employees to come back.
When you start getting into employing people, then that's a constant cost. It's not an overhead. I don't believe employees are overhead. I believe employees are investments.
Curtis learned a valuable lesson that burning out good employees costs more than any temporary productivity gain. So protecting their capacity ensured long-term growth. If you want to apply this strategy to your business, here's an action plan. Week 1, map out your crunch points. Identify when you're scrambling the most. Week 2, create your staging systems. This is where you're going to do testing and get going with this new plan. Week 3 is where you implement work windows, start scheduling tasks, and putting the plan into action. And in week 4, you'll build in a flexibility buffer. This gives you time for when life happens. So you'll keep one afternoon a week completely free to allow you to catch up or deal with problems that may arise.
This year, definitely been our best season ever. And we were up about 35% from the previous year.
Curtis achieved these results not through heroic effort, but through systems that preserve energy for what matters.
I can see that we can grow another at least 20% the next season without taking on any more land.
When you implement these principles, you shift from merely surviving busy seasons to strategically leveraging them for growth. Remember, this is an identity shift you're going to have to undergo. The entrepreneurs who scale sustainably aren't the ones who always grind the hardest. They're the ones that build systems that preserve their energy for the long haul and allows them to make strategic decisions to keep them in the game. The difference between burning out and scaling up isn't willpower. It's often systems that work with reality instead of against it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Urban Farmer Rewind, you can check out the full-length episode, Season 1, Week 25 of the Urban Farmer, using the link below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.